Hi, Timothy Carlson here. I always love when great classic films from the silent era get long overdue restorations and re-releases. Over the years, Kevin Brownlow has been working extensively to restore the classic silent film Napoleon, and a few years back, BFI in England put out a restoration of the film on Blu-ray Disc. This is Napoleon from 1927, directed by Abel Gance. I'm going to unbox this release and share my opinions. There's our cover art there, a nice close-up of Napoleon from the film. You have the credit there for Carl Davis, who composed the musical score. Kevin Brownlow, who's been doing the restorations. There's even some critic quotes there from Martin Scorsese and Stanley Kubrick. Kubrick at one point was actually planning on making his own Napoleon film, but that project eventually fell through. Back cover. Inside of the slipcover is largely the same. Now, my case was slightly damaged when I received this, unfortunately. It does come with a fairly thick booklet here. Here's a list of the cast and crew. As always, I'm not going to go through and show off every single page in here, but there is some nice stuff to look at. Due to the film's length, this restoration clocks in at about 5.5 hours. It's broken across 3 discs. Disc 1 features Act 1. Disc 2 features Acts 2 and 3. And Disc 3 features Act 4 plus the bulk of the bonus features. Underneath Disc 3, we have a list of some other titles from BFI, and there's more of those listed over here as well. Now, unfortunately, this is a Region B locked Blu-ray disc, but let's see if we can play this in my Panasonic 820 using the Region Lock hack. This Blu-ray disc will play back on Region B players only. Okay, we're going to try out our stop button. We're going to hit the top menu button. Okay, and this takes us right to the scene selection option, so you can actually scroll through here and you can select the scene, so you can play this from the beginning. But when I go over here, when I move the cursor over here to try to get to the extras or try to do anything else, the cursor just disappears and no longer functions. So if I hit stop, and then I hit top menu, it takes me back to this screen with the chapter selects. So what it looks like here is the movie is perfectly playable, but the menus don't function the way they're supposed to. So that unfortunately means that there's no way to view the bonus features. You can watch the film just fine, but again, no way to access the bonus features. Marking a new chapter in the history of one of the world's greatest films, the release of Abel Gance's Napoleon is the culmination of a project spanning 50 years. Digitally restored by the BFI National Archive and Academy Award-winning film historian Kevin Brownlow, this cinematic triumph is available to experience on Blu-ray for the very first time. Originally conceived by Gance as the first of 6 films about Napoleon, this 5.5-hour epic features full-scale historical recreations of episodes from his personal and political life that see Bonaparte overcome fierce rivals and political machinations to seal his imperial destiny. Utilizing a number of groundbreaking cinematic techniques, Napoleon is accompanied by Carl Davis' monumental score and offers one of the most thrilling experiences in the entire history of film. Napoleon was, of course, one of the last great epic silent films before talkies took over, but this film, directed by Abel Gance, is certainly one of the most ambitious ever made. I mean, this clocks in at 5.5 hours. That's not even known to be the complete version. Supposedly, there's a new restoration that's coming out now and has aired in France that's over 7 hours. So we'll see where that goes in the future, but for now I'll stick to talking about this release. Napoleon in the film is played by, and I hope I'm pronouncing this guy's name right, Albert Dieudonné, and he does an excellent job throughout the movie, really capturing this character both on the battlefield and in more personal and political situations. The movie covers many episodes of Napoleon's life. It actually starts out with him as a little boy attending a boarding school where he's having an epic snowball fight and he already begins to show the tactician he'll become later in life, but then we also see him being bullied and tormented by many of the staff and fellow students, which of course will serve as something of a template to some of the torment he'll face later in life. As things go on, we start to see him enter his military career. We see his first meeting and eventual marriage to Josephine. We see the French Revolution and all the chaos that it causes. And of course, a little bit of everything in between. The movie, of course, ends with an epic finale in Italy with Napoleon leading his army in what's been called the triptych sequence, which actually features a 4:1 aspect ratio with 3 images next to each other, sort of an early attempt at widescreen filmmaking, which of course wouldn't go mainstream until much later in several different forms. I'm not going to say it's a perfect film. Admittedly, some scenes do tend to drag a bit. There's a huge cast of characters to keep track of, and the narrative structure isn't always 100% clear. I really do wonder if someone who has no prior knowledge of Napoleon Bonaparte's life will be able to fully keep up with this film and everything that's going on. But it's certainly a landmark in terms of filmmaking techniques and storytelling for what it is, and I'm very glad I was able to get my hands on this one. This has been a pretty epic, pretty lengthy restoration, and I'm happy to say Napoleon looks great for its Blu-ray disc debut. This disc is already several years old, but it was a very intense, laborious restoration, and the results really speak for themselves here. The image is pretty sharp. There's obviously going to be some softness and some inevitable print damage and the like due to the condition of the original source elements, just sort of par for the course when you're playing with silent film elements from nearly 100 years ago. For the most part, it looks absolutely excellent. This is one of the best looking restorations of a silent film that I've ever seen, and I don't think any fan or cinema enthusiast will be disappointed here. Now, I wasn't able to play the bonus features on my player due to those cursor issues I mentioned earlier, but I was able to watch them using a region-free Blu-ray player program I downloaded on my computer. And there's some pretty interesting stuff here. There's some documentary footage on director Abel Gance. There's stuff on the restoration of the film. And one thing that's kind of interesting is they actually have the 3 segments of the triptych sequence one on each disc. So you have like the left side on disc 1, the middle side on disc 2, the right side on disc 3. So if you had 3 HD TVs and 3 region-free Blu-ray players, you could put the discs in there and play this segment across 3 TVs. I don't know that anyone would ever actually have the equipment, the will, or the intestinal fortitude to do that, but I like that they've at least given us this option, and that this isolated triptych footage is worth watching on its own either way. There's even like a single camera only alternate ending, which is kind of nice as well. I'm really glad to see that they went to the 9s for this release. I really do hope we eventually get a 4K release of this movie, perhaps of a later, longer restoration, or at the very least, a Region A release of the film in HD. I can very highly recommend this to anyone who's a cinema enthusiast who has the ability to play Region B discs. How about you? Do you think it's your favorite silent film of all time? Do you think it's the best Napoleon film ever made? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content. I'm always posting new videos, and make sure to listen to like if you found it helpful. I'm Taylor T. Carlson. I'll see you next time.